Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to continue to talk about the 2026 Dodge Durango GT. Now, if you follow me here on the channel or on Mopar Insiders, you know I've been very vocal about Dodge's decision to go to an all-HEMI lineup. I've been complaining about it since day one. I think it was a stupid move. And yesterday, it was kind of funny because I got a press release from Stellantis saying that Dodge is now offering the Pentastar back in the consumer lineup of the Durango. Now, keep in mind, the Pentastar never really disappeared, even though Dodge made it so that after August 13th, all consumers were able to get standard HEMI power. It was still open to government and fleet models, okay? So basically, if it was like, an enterprise rent-a-car, they could still order one, or if it was a government vehicle, they could still order one. But the normal consumer couldn't. But yesterday, they made it official that the Pentastar is back in the Durango. Now, again, if you've been following me, like I said, I've been very vocal about it, and there's a good reason why. Not everybody wants a HEMI under the hood of their Durango. Okay, the Durango is a very attractive SUV, and yeah, while they've lowered the price of the actual, HEMI model on the GT, basically it's like a $1,700 option to get it over a equally equipped V6. Not everybody wants a HEMI. The reason being is the people that I've talked to have complained that, the HEMI Durango, it doesn't matter if it's an RT or a Hellcat, have been one of the most stolen vehicles in the US. And that's in the last, I would say 5-6 years. And the problem with that is insurance rates go up. And not everybody can afford a brand new vehicle now, because we know that prices have continued to rise. Even though this thing's going to be like $42,000 starting, by the time you get one that you really want some of the options on, you're still paying over 50 grand for one. Let's face it, okay? That $42,000 doesn't include destination charges, taxes, title, and any other fees that you get from the dealer. So not everybody wants a fully loaded Durango. Nobody really wants, to pay more and more for, fuel for the thing, insurance rates. Some people just want a very attractive 3-row SUV that's, going to get good gas mileage and be reliable. And that's what the Pentastar is. So it's back. And I have to laugh because if you go on my article that I wrote for this thing, and I posted today on Mopar Insiders, if you go down, we'll talk about this real quick because Matt Mackler had a very interesting quote. And I talked to him down in Tennessee, but this is very interesting. He said, this year Durango ranked #1 in the J.D. Power Appeal study for upper midsize SUVs. We launched the new Durango SRT Hellcat jailbreak with 7 million potential customization options, brought back B5 blue exterior color, opened SRT Hellcat orders in 10 additional CARB states, and announced that the HEMI engine in the all-wheel drive Durango GT. So our strategy is working, he says. But what he says is they were having trouble meeting the demand while the HEMI engine supply ramps up. Well, to me, that kind of, I don't know, it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't. Because we know that Dodge has been really limited in their lineup. Obviously, they have the Charger Daytona in this, and leftover Hornets, of course. But the Hornet's not selling. The Dodge Charger Daytona's not selling. And honestly, the Durango has been on a sales tear for the last couple months. It had its best third quarter in 20 years. But that was before the HEMI actually really came out. We didn't see, even though orders were placed after August 13th, we didn't really see these vehicles hit dealers until, I would say mid to late September. And then while that was going on, we still had tons of V6 models on lots. So for Dodge, who's actually behind in sales this year, they've had a significant sales drop. And I'm not talking about for Durango. Durango's actually had an upswing in sales. But the overall brand, because they don't have the Challenger anymore, and if the ones that they do have left over, the actual inventory has been, dwindling down. They don't have the old generation Charger. That's been dwindling down. They sold actually some leftover darts from 2016 and 17, or it's actually 16. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of the Chrysler 200. They sold some of those too that were from leftover from 17. But anyways, they don't really have a lot of volume in their lineups. The Durango is selling volumes, so by getting the Pentastar back in, I think that they're, I honestly think that they're kind of using this as a meeting demand while HEMI engine suppliers ramp up is kind of an excuse. Because I don't see it going away again. Because this is its volume model. So again, it's not a huge drastically difference in price between the GT HEMI and the GT Pentastar. There's $1,700 if you actually look at an all-wheel drive model. But those who don't need all-wheel drive and that want a rear-wheel drive base model, now the vehicle's under 40 grand. Of course, again, that doesn't include taxes and title and you know, all that stuff. But nonetheless, it kind of makes it a good sales point that they do have a Dodge that's in the $30,000 range, because the new Dodge Charger 6-pack cars start out at over $42,000. And then with the Durango GT HEMI, that was over $42,000 too. So tell me what you think. I mean, I think this is a really good idea that Dodge brought the Pentastar back. I'm sure because, again, it's its volume seller. There's going to be a lot of people who just want that extra fuel economy, that don't really want to pay the extra insurance premiums. They want the Pentastar. And to me, it makes sense. Now, I will say, on top of all that, we did learn some new news about the Durango RT 392. Okay? So if you've been waiting for that vehicle, there is some new news about it. It will be available to order in Q1 of 2026. Now, we don't know if it's going to be January, February just yet, but they did confirm that it will be available in Q1 2026. Now, I talked to Matt Mackler down there in Tennessee when I was down there for the Charger event, and I told him, I said, you shouldn't have named it the RT 392. I keep telling him, I said, you're missing an opportunity here by not branding it a Scat Pack model. So we'll see if that changes. I highly doubt it, but I still think that this thing would sell itself if it was a Scat Pack model rather than the RT 392. To me, they should have just kept the GT the way it was. The RT should have been just, you know, lowered down in content a little bit, made it more affordable, on par with the GT, but with the 5.7, because everybody knows that the RT, doesn't matter if it's the older Chargers or Challengers, it was always 5.7. Durango's been 5.7 since what? Forever, 2011. So to me, it didn't make a whole lot of sense moving the HEMI down and then moving the 6.4 down. I understand they don't want to build a SRT 392 to kind of tick off even more owners that bought the Alchemy and those last final edition models, but there's a lot of opportunity with the Scat Pack. So tell me what you think down below. Do you think a Durango Scat Pack would be worthwhile, more so than an RT 392? Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what you think of the Pentastar coming back, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
The Durango GT becomes the most affordable all-wheel drive vehicle with a V8 in the industry, period. And for the first time ever, the Dodge Durango RT will be available for $392, delivering a massive 475 horsepower and 470 pound-feet of torque, 115 more horsepower over the previous 5.7, delivering the most horsepower available in the industry for under $50,000.